Right, we're now going to look at some theories of professional and ethic guidelines, and the first one is absolutism versus relativism. What we're going to look at here is define them. So absolutism, which is also known as dogmatic ethics, is the view that there is an unchanging set of ethical principles that will apply in all situations at all times in all societies. So there is basically one set of moral rules that are always true. However, this implies that truth in one culture may be imposed as truth in another culture. So, for example, Western missionaries used to impose their Western truth on other cultures. That's what absolutism dogma is about. Advantage of this is, well, it sets a number of rules that can be followed, and knowing that those actions, the outcomes, are going to be right because you follow the rules. The absolute rules make application of corporate governance that much more achievable, because if you follow the rules that have been set, which is believed to be the best practice of corporate governance, then you're more likely to achieve that goal. Disadvantages, however, is it takes no account of evolving normals within society and development advances in morality. So some of those missionaries setting out on far-flung parts of the world and imposing a set of rules arguably now has been seen to be, after the event, not the best thing to have done. There will never be universal worldwide agreement on what are the absolute rules, what are the moral rights and precepts. So it can become quite incompatible and unreconcilable. A relativism, pragmatic approach, is a view that a wide variety of acceptable ethical beliefs and practices are allowed to exist and exist alongside each other. So different cultures mean that people can do something different in different places. The advantage of that is that, well, you're going to have less conflict and things will be more acceptable across international processes. Probably easier, therefore, to implement than a dogmatic approach. Now, the deological ethics and theological ethics approach is the next thing to look at. This judges the action. It's not worried about the outcome, whereas the theological approach judges the outcome. So it's not so bothered about the action, it just wants to know what the outcome will be of taking that action. So it looks, deontology looks at all actions as being the result of a duty or categorized imperative. It's irrelevant what happens as a consequence. Now, there must be some fundamentals rules in that it must be possible to apply a rule universally and consistently. The rule should show respect for human dignity. What we mean by that is that would the action be viewed by others as moral or suitable? That's what you're trying to focus on. A theological approach, however, makes moral judgments about the action by reference to their outcomes. So it's the consequence that's more important. That's how you judge something. The act itself is not relevant. Hence, theological thinkers may support the idea that victimless crimes may exist if nobody is hurt in the action. I'll leave that for you to judge, but don't judge in an exam. The latter, theological approaches, can actually be subdivided into two parts: Unitarian and Egotistical. Utilitarian basically means something is morally right if it benefits the greatest number of people, even if there's going to be a bit of harm to a few. Egotistical, the rightness or wrongness of an action is assessed only by reference to the person making the ethical judgment. So it's not society as a whole. So it's all about benefits and harm, majority or minority is the difference between those two. And this can only operate under a teleological way of thinking. Now, very important, often comes up in exams, are Kohlbergs 6 stages of moral development. It's 3 levels split into 2. These are called pre-conventional, the lowest level, then conventional, moving up a stage, and then post-conventional. It was done in America, looking at children, how they behaved and viewed things, so maybe a pinch of salt is needed for this, but anyway, this is what it's about. At the first plane level, you're at the pre-conventional ethical thinking. You're basically your very young children. You're worried about obedience and punishment if you get things wrong. Then you move up a stage to self-interest. What is in it for me by doing this course of action? Level 2 is conventional. Basically, you're starting to conform with society. You're according with it. You want to fit in with the crowd, the good boy girl attitude. Then you move up another stage to authority and social order, maintaining orientation. So what we mean by that is laws are obeyed as an expedient in order for society to function, but its core right or wrong is not challenged. A level 4 thinker would be willing to obey the laws that were imposed by a non-democratic government, so fairly obliging kind of person. Level 3, post-conventional, a lot of people don't get to this level, is social contract orientation. What we mean by that is its laws are obeyed only because the individual recognises that laws must exist, evolve, and do require a degree of personal compromise in order for society to function. So you can't all drive at 85, 100 kilometres an hour. It would be dangerous. So you compromise your speed for the benefit of others. Universal ethical principle is the highest level. Basically, laws and reasoning of others are not viewed as necessarily to be obeyed. Indeed, if a government passes a law that violates a natural justice, such as imprisonment without trial, individuals have a duty to disobey the law and overthrow that government. That's what you'd be like at that level. Final thing we're going to have a look at is resolving ethical conflicts. Again, America, 2 principal models which you need to learn both. Tucker's 5 questions and the American Accounting Association model. I'm going to look at the first one now and deal with the second one in the last recording. Please note that in the exam, the examiner has stipulated which one to use, but you do need to know both. Clearly, as one only could come up. Tucker basically suggests there are 5 questions of ethical decision-making process. You want to work out whether to do something, the profitable level of it. Is it going to be legal? Is it going to be fair and equitable to you and to others? Is it right, which is prone to subjective judgment, of course, because what's right to one person could be wrong to another, well, not so right to another person. Will it be sustainable or environmentally sound? Will it benefit the planet and the future humans that will come onto the planet? So that's Tucker's 5 questions about ethical decision making, and I'll finish off the rest of the chapters in the final recording.